G'day, Mr. Fitz here. How's it going? Hope you're going well. This tutorial, we're going to look at a new tool called the shell tool, and we're going to keep building on our knowledge. From this point forward, I really encourage you to watch the videos in detail because we're going to start introducing some more advanced features in the sketch tool as well. The shell tool lives over here in our workflow, so it is a modification feature that we use on an existing solid. So you must have a sketch and a solid first, and then we can use this similar to the filler and the chamfer tool. Today we're going to model up this basic box. Now, from your skill set thus far, you may tackle this in a number of ways, and I'm actually going to show you a way that that you might look to model this. So I'm going to do that first, and then I'm going to introduce you to the shell tool. So we're going to start just by doing a basic square box, and then I'm going to cut out the center of it. So let's jump into OnShape. So sketch, I'm going to use a top plane. Now in this space, I'm going to use the center rectangle tool. I generally recommend to use this if you've got anything that has some symmetry. So a box is perfect. It's usually symmetrical about the center planes. So just roughly draw in your rectangle. I'm going to always add in my dimensions. So the box is going to be 75 mil wide by 50 mil high or deep, however you call it. Finish this. Now I'm going to extrude this sketch, and the box is 30 mil high. So there's the solid box. Now to hollow this thing out, if I quickly look back at my drawing, it's important to recognize that this box has a 2mm wall section. So THK, remember, is, sorry, you've probably never heard this one before, is thickness. So thickness is shortened to THK, and typical, which you have seen before, is essentially means that that is common. So that's in multiple places. Now, assuming this is like a plastic box, in plastic molding, it's good practice to try to keep all of your wall sections the same thickness. So that would also mean that the bottom of the part is 2mm, so 2mm all around it. Now I'm going to show you a way to do this that might advance your sketch skills. So I'm going to do a sketch on the top plane. Now, rather than doing a rectangle here, I'm going to use the existing geometry of this box. Now, how do I do that? Over here is a little tool. There's two parts to this. The intersection we'll use later, but if you just go to use, it's quite simple. I want to use these four outside edges. So I'm going to use them as a reference. Press escape to get out of the use tool. Now I'm going to introduce you to the offset tool. So offset, as it sounds, is fairly simple. If you click, I can hover over the whole rectangle. So I just clicked on the rectangle. You can do it line by line. Now there's a little arrow here. You can click to toggle whether you want to offset that inside or outside. I want to go inwards, and I can just press enter to approve that. Straight away it comes up with how far I want to offset. So it's getting me to key in the dimension, and I want this to be 2mm. Beautiful. Now, as a matter of course, if I press escape, I don't want to use this outside. So if I press the shift key, I can multiple select the outside lines in black, and I'm going to make those construction. So I don't actually want to use those other than just for reference to offset. Beautiful. Okay, if I finish the sketch now, I'm going to extrude the inside. So it picks up my rectangle there. Now I'm going to cut this out. So I'm going to click on remove. Now I'm going to introduce you to a couple of features within the extrude tool. Now blind is just going to a set depth. Now I want this to be 2mm off of the bottom. So I could actually key in. I know my box is 30mm deep, and I could make it 28, which would be logical to make it 2mm thick. But I want to make this a bit more intelligent. So I'm going to change from blind to up to face. Once I click on this, it's going to ask me where's it going to go to. So to which face am I going to extrude to? And I'm going to choose the bottom face. Now, as you can see, it's going to cut that all the way to that face. Now, I don't want it to that face. I want it 2mm off of that face. So if I click offset distance. You can then ask how far away. Default's 25, but I want this to be 2. So you just key in 2 and go OK. And you will now find that that is 2 mil off of the bottom. Beautiful. Now that has worked reasonably well. I've only got 2 features in here. And what is good about what I've just done is that it's parametric. So that means that at any time, if I change the size of my box, everything that I've built after it, so if I go edit sketch, if I make my box bigger, let's make this one 100 to test it and go OK, you will see that that offset face has fixed itself up and it's all parametric. Likewise, if I change the depth of my part, because this is offset 2 millimeters, it's going to pick up that face as well. Really cool. All right, so that's one way that you could generate this feature, this design. Now I'm going to show you the shell tool. That's the purpose of this tutorial, and this is a faster, neater way of doing what I've just done. So I'm going to just going to go back one. I'm going to undo my change there, and I'm going to delete this extrude in the middle here and this sketch. So assuming that I've modeled this first part, and that's how it looks. Now the way the shell tool works, the shell tool hollows out a part. So if I click on, where's it gone? Here we go, shell tool. So if you tick on hollow, what that will do is it will give you a hollow center to your part. I don't want to hollow this. What I want to do is remove a face. So this is kind of like, where is this thing going to open? So the top of the box is going to be an opening. So if I click on that top face, you can see straight away it's going to hollow this out, and I want my thickness to be 2. So that's going to make it 2 mil, and that's going to be 2 mil off of every face. So the bottom and the sides and the top. Click OK and done. How easy is that? So the shell tool hollows my part out. It allows me to choose a face, and that's now 2 mil off the bottom. This can be really cool if you're going to hollow, like maybe create a pipe. If you imagine creating a pipe, which is going to be your next tutorial, if you do 2 circles, or sorry, 1 circle, so make it as a cylinder, you can then use the shell tool. And if you decide that you want to remove both faces, top and bottom, as 2 millimeters as the wall section of your part, there we go, cuts it through. So obviously this is a rectangle or a box, but if that was a pipe, a really fast way to get a nice consistent wall section. So I'm just going to go back. That's our part. So that's the finished design. Now, you'll notice on the box that there are some fillets. Now, you'll notice I didn't add those fillets to the extrude. It's good practice to use the fillet tool to create fillets. Don't try to put them in the sketch, it's too complicated. So back on our design here, I've got a 5 millimeter outside fillet. Now I haven't actually dimensioned the inside, and if we assume that 2 millimeters is the offset of the wall, there should be a 3 millimeter fillet on the inside, and it goes all the way around. So all the way around my box. Now this is really easy to add. Now, one thing to think about is the process of when you add the fillet. So fillets are good to add towards the end. If I put a 5 mil fillet on, I can go right around and choose these faces. Now you'll notice that the inside of my box isn't filleted at all. So I can go in and add another fillet to fillet the inside. That's a waste of time. Let me show you. Now if I click on that face, that should 5 mil. Oh, no, it didn't like that. So sometimes you can click on a face and it picks up the surrounding edges. It didn't like me doing that. So I'm going to click on edge, 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 edge. Seems to have a problem with that. Ah, I know why. I'm going to make this 4 mil. The problem we've got is that with a 5 mil on the bottom, it's going to cut through the part. This is just to demonstrate. So that's the slow way to do it. Add the fillet first, add the inside fillet. Now, if I simply reorder my fillet before the shell, you'll notice straight away that my part miraculously fillets the inside. And that's because if I go roll back, so I can pull this back into my model and have a look at it, um, this is the process by moving it backwards. So you fillet the main body. I'm going to now change this back to 5 mil because I can. Click on the tick. So things like fillets, you've got to think about putting them in before the shell tool, because the shell tool is going to hollow everything out on the inside like that. So that is much simpler than having to try to fillet all the inside lines and things. Don't worry about doing that. Fillet first and off we go. Just to finish, one other little cool tool here. This little dude on the side is a little icon that allows you to look at different kinds of views. So you can change some isometric views, perspective, shaded. You can change the visual effects. At the very bottom here, there's a toggle that says turn section view on. If you click on that, it then asks you which plane you want to use. So if I choose this plane, for instance, you can add multiple planes if you choose. Just click on the cross on that one and that one. But if you choose a plane like in the center of the part, what it does is it cuts away and allows you to view inside it. So this is a really useful tool to enable you to see that that's a nice consistent wall section. So 2 mil all the way around. And that's, as I said, it's a little toggle. You can click the tick to leave it on, so you can model looking inside your part, or you can turn it off. Very, very useful when you're building more complex models and you can't see, you can't see how thick this is or see inside it. That section tool, turn section view on, is really, really useful. Awesome. That's basically it. So 2 ways to build that, and obviously the shell tool is the preferred way. Really fast. There's literally 3 features that drive this, and the beauty of the shell tool is that it's all parametric. So if I change the size of my box, the original extrude, everything's going to hollow and fill it according to that. Very, very cool. All right. All the best, folks. Take it easy.